he used to often polish the boots of Swami Vivekananda. And one day, this Ralph, the young boy, 14, 15 years old, while polishing the boots of Swamiji, he asked, Swami, you talk so much about God, but nobody had ever seen God. What is this you are going on talking? And Swami Vivekananda, I do not know what I would have replied, but Swami Vivekananda said, Ralph, do you see your own eyes? Ralph thought a little, no, Swami, I can't see my eyes. But if there is a mirror, I could see my eyes. That is it, Ralph, that is it. That is the way to see. When you make your heart pure, it becomes a mirror. Then you can see God. Yes, Swami. How beautifully Swami Vivekananda had solved this problem, a pure heart. How to reply a 14 years young boy, what is the proof that God exists? Of course, we all listen to talks, we read books, and we go by our small faith. But this is something extraordinary. Directly, a great soul, a great rishi is revealing the truth to a young boy of 14 years. We need a pure heart. That is why every scripture emphasizes that we need a pure heart before we can progress in spiritual life. Another reminiscence about Swami Vivekananda. One day he was taking class. It was evening, Arati time, and Swami Premananda came in and he requested all the brahmacharis and others, it is time for Arati. You all come away, stop the class and come away. Swamiji scolded him severely. Babu Ram, do you think that ringing the bell alone is the worship? Is this not worship of Sri Ramakrishna? Babu Ram Maharaj did not say anything. He bent his head, went away. That day, he alone conducted the Arati and everything. The fun starts. After the Arati was over, everybody went away. Swami Vivekananda ran, started beating his head to the Vedi of Sri Ramakrishna and said, Thakur, please forgive me, Thakur, please forgive me. I should not have said that. You know, Swamiji sometimes, he gets into modes, very difficult to live with him. Sometimes we may be thinking, how wonderful it would have been to live with Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. It is very easy to live with them through books. But if you are really in front of them, I will give the instance of Sri Ramakrishna. We think that if only we had seen Sri Ramakrishna, we would have become great saints. You know what happened to Rani Rasmani? She was sitting and listening, and she was thinking something else. Sri Ramakrishna went and slapped her. Now what is the point? The point is, had we been in front of Sri Ramakrishna, fortunate that he was fortunate that we were not before him, otherwise his hands would have pained very much. We are fortunate, otherwise our cheeks would have pained very much. Both ways we are very fortunate. It's not easy. Another funny incident about Swami Vivekananda. One day, Swamiji had to give a lecture in Calcutta. So he told Swami Adbhutananda, come and attend my talk. Adbhutananda said, I do not know English language. What do I do there? He said, you don't worry, you just come. Adbhutananda said, I don't have proper dress. All right. Swami Vivekananda himself dressed him with his own dress, with pagadi and everything. Latu Maharaj went, sat down in the front seat, heard 1.5 hours or so of beautiful English talk by Swami Vivekananda. After that, Swami Vivekananda came down and said, Bhai, Leto, how was my lecture? Adbhutananda said, after all, what did you speak? What our Rishi spoke, you repeated it. Swami Vivekananda said, you are the only person in this whole audience who understood my talk. A beautiful incident about Swami Brahmananda and Turiyananda. They were practicing severe austerities at Vrindavan at Kusum Sarovar. One day, the queen of Bharatpur sent some sweets, and Brahmanandaji opened a sweet. Inside there was a gold coin. Immediately, Raja Maharaj, Brahmanandaji, he said, Hari Bhai, let us run away from this place. Our sadhu life will be ruined if we stay here. Because that means somebody has recognized their holiness, and this is another way of trying to bring them, their mind down. So that is called true vairagya, dispassion. This event about Brahmanandaji happened at Chennai, now Madras, now Chennai. Brahmanandaji was playing cards with Ramakrishnanandaji and Swami Vishuddhanandaji. And Swami Ramakrishnanandaji was losing all the games. Vishuddhanandaji, at the end of the games, he got very annoyed with Swami Ramakrishnanandaji. He said, Maharaj, what is this? Every game we are losing. What do you mean by that? Ramakrishnan said, you see, Maharaj loves to win all the games. I will do anything to make Maharaj very happy. There was an incident, this was Swami Chaitanandaji told me. Once he went to Varanasi, there was one Swami called Tara Prasanna Maharaj. I do not know his sannyasa name. And Chaitanandaji, it seems, asked him a question. Maharaj, you are here expecting to die and get liberation. Sri Ramakrishna said, no one can be liberated until he got jnana, self-realization, knowledge, self-knowledge. Tara Prasanna Maharaj became very annoyed and said, Chaitanananda, we have come here to die and you have come here to confuse us. Then he said, you see, Thakur will come at the end and he will give us jnana. That is how we get liberation. Chaitananda said, yes, Maharaj, and then came away. Swami Shraddhanandaji was a great soul, and I had the privilege of meeting him in USA. Very sweet soul, very poetic soul, and he wrote beautiful articles about, he was an expert in mantra shastra. So a lady complained to him, Swami, nobody loves me. Swami said, what do you mean? When you enter the kitchen, all the food says, my dear brother, I love you, come and eat me. And you look at the flowers, my dear soul, I love you, come and smell the fragrance that I am giving to you. Look at the stars. They say, see, we are all shining for you. The whole nature tells you that I am here to serve you. What do you mean by there is no love? The whole universe loves you. Don't you feel it? Open your heart and you will see everything is saturated with love. What a beautiful reply. Most of us also must be feeling that nobody loves us. We are lonely. If you are feeling lonely, that means you are feeling nobody loves. Even though we may be amidst a large number of people, but we might feel lonely. Some people alone but do not feel lonely. Some people amidst large number of people, but they feel lonely. Loneliness is one of the greatest mental diseases people are going through nowadays. But if we know how to open our heart, the whole universe is loving. This was so beautifully expressed in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. You might have heard, or at least you can remember now, Madhuvata ritayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha. Let everything be sweet, let everything be loving to us. The whole universe loves us really. Even a person who doesn't like us, he loves us much more. He says, go to God. I am criticizing you. You go to God. This reminiscence is about Latu Maharaj. Swami Adbhutananda, beloved disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He was living at that time in Varanasi. There was one Pashupati Maharaj. He used to make images, etc. Very famous, short. I had the privilege of seeing him several times at Guwahati and other places. Very loving soul. He went to Varanasi. Latu Maharaj asked him, Pashupati, do you go and take bath in the Ganga? Do you go and see Lord Vishwanath? Pashupati Maharaj said, Maharaj, I don't believe in Vishwanath. It's a stone, piece of stone. And this is a little bit of water. I don't believe it is holy. Latu Maharaj did not say anything. 2-3 days later, this Pashupati Maharaj was taking a walk on the banks of the Ganges. Suddenly he saw Lord Shiva rising from out of the waters and slowly disappearing in the sky. He came running to Latu Maharaj. Latu Maharaj asked, Pashupati, what is the matter? Did you see something? Yes, Maharaj, I saw Lord Shiva. Go and have darshan of Lord Shiva. You are telling it was a piece of stone? The Lord is liberating millions of people from all sins and bestowing His grace. Lord Vishwanatha, never lose faith. Of course, we are also like this. We lose faith many times, especially as we age, we are likely to become more mechanical. But never lose hope. Just because we do not see the Lord, it doesn't mean the Lord doesn't see us. I recollect a beautiful story told by a Swami. One day, a blind man was going towards a temple. Somebody who knew he was a blind man, he accosted him and said, hey, you are a blind fellow. You can't see God. Why do you want to visit the temple? And that blind man said, it is true, I cannot see the Lord, but it is true that the Lord can see me, and that serves the purpose. So, never ever cherish any low feelings about these Punya Kshetras. They are so great. You know, there are Charidhamas, 4 great places of pilgrimage. The Ramakrishna Bhaktas have their own Navapunya Kshetra. What are they? Belur Math, Dakshineshwar, Jairambati and Kamarpukur. One day, a devotee came to Swami Brahmanandaji and he told him, Maharaj, I am practicing spiritual disciplines for the last 20 years. I got nothing. Swami Brahmanandaji told him, why do you come every day here? Even though you say you do not get anything, you must be getting something. And that devotee became transformed by those words. One incident about Swami Vijnananandaji, he was staying with a devotee at Calcutta, and this devotee was an initiated disciple of Swami Vijnananandaji. One day while serving food, this disciple blurted out, Maharaj, you talk so much about God, and I do not feel anything about God. Swami Vijnanandaji replied, you can feel whatever you want. That's okay. But I experienced it. I have seen God with my own eyes. How can I say anything else? The way he said moved that devotee, who was also a famous barrister. One of our senior Swamis, I asked him, Maharaj, how to quieten the mind, how to calm the mind? Mind is so restless. He said, do you know how to watch the in-between junction? I put up a blank face. What is this? In-between station. He said, look at the necklace of a woman. In between 2 beads, there is a thread. And that thread, which we see in between 2 beads, is consciousness. Watch for that consciousness. Your mind will become calm and quiet. Swami Shivanandaji Mahapurush Maharaj, one day he was sitting with Swami Turiyanandaji. Mahapurush Maharaj said, Hari Bhai, today is very bad day. And Turiyanandaji asked, Tarakda, Why is it bad day? Today I did not see Sri Ramakrishna. Do you mean to say that you are seeing Sri Ramakrishna every day? Said, yes, every day I see Sri Ramakrishna. Today I did not see him. That is why it is a bad day. What a beautiful thing. I would like to speak one or two reminiscences about Swami Madhavanandaji. One day, Swami Madhavanandaji heard two brother monks teasing each other. He said, I am senior to you, you bow down to me. The other was also said, I am senior to you, you bow down to me. Swami Madhavanandaji heard it and said, do you know who is a senior and who is a junior? A person who is nearest to Sri Ramakrishna is a senior. A person who is further from Sri Ramakrishna is a junior. That ended the funny conversation between them. Swami Madhavanandaji was a great soul. One day, a sadhu entered into his room for some work, and he found Swami Madhavanandaji had opened his windows and he was intently watching something. And this sadhu waited for 5-6 minutes. Swami Madhavanandaji was not conscious at all that somebody had entered into his room. Then he noticed the sadhu and he asked, when did you come? He said, Maharaj, I have come 5-6 minutes back. And why did you not call me? I would have come. You have come for work. He said, no, this I can wait. There is nothing urgent about it. But then I am curious about, you are intently watching something. What is it? Swami Madhavanandaji pointed out, there was a slight gale and so many coconut trees were swaying with that gale. He said, I was thinking, intently watching at the leaves of the coconut tree and said, if we can become instruments and submit our will to the will of the divine and become like these swaying branches of the coconut tree, that would be the real devotion to God, Atma Samarpana. Swami Vireshwaran, he was also my Sannyasa Guru, Brahmacharya Guru as well as Sannyasa Guru. Swami Vireshwaranandaji, one day one of us asked, Maharaj, we do not seem to progress in spiritual life. Swami Vireshwaranandaji said, we are all sitting under the Kalpa Vriksha of Sri Ramakrishna. The 4 fruits of the Kalpa Vriksha will fall in course of time. But if you wish to get those fruits right now, you have to shake the fruits. What is the shaking? Self-effort. We have to exert self-effort. Finally, when I was in the training center, we had extraordinary privilege of being under the control of Swami Bodhatmanandaji, Bhav Maharaj. He was a very great soul, very great sadhu, very great scholar, very strict disciplinarian, very naive type of person too. One day, a devotee whom he knew took initiation from the president of the order at Belur Math. He came to Bhav Maharaj and made pranams to him. Bhav Maharaj asked him, did you offer Guru Dakshina to your Guru? He said, yes, Maharaj. You know, in those of you who took initiation, there is a prescribed form. There would be, say, a piece of cloth, some money, some fruits and sweets and these normal things. Yes, Maharaj, I offered Guru Dakshina. He said, no, the Guru gives you the seed of a spiritual tree. You have to practice japa, dhyana, make that tree grow and offer the fruit of realization to your Guru. That is true Guru Dakshina. What a beautiful way of putting it. We all know that no Guru ever expects from a disciple anything worldly. His only goal, his greatest joy of any Guru, if one of his disciples grow in spirituality, realize God, that would be the greatest Guru Dakshina anybody can hear. Briefly now, for a few minutes, I have to speak about my own Gurudeva, Swami Yatishwaranji Maharaj. Truly, I am blessed. In more than one way. You know, we are very blessed. Suppose you are initiated by Swami Vireshwaranandaji Maharaj. Who was his guru? Holy Mother. So in spiritual relationship, what is your relationship with Holy Mother? She is your grandmother and you are grandchild. And the relationship between a grandmother and grandchild is much closer than even one's relationship with one's parents. How close you are to Holy Mother, after all your grandmother. Similarly, I am also blessed because my grandfather, who is my grandfather? Swami Brahmanandaji. My great-grandfather, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa himself. How greatly privileged we were. I wrote this article, say Swami Yatishwaranji as we saw him. One or two points I would discuss before I bring this talk to a close. I was at the time at Delhi, just joined 1993. Maharaj came in 1994, Durga Puja time. He initiated two of us on the Ashtami Day, Durga Ashtami Day, very memorable day for me. He used to interview everybody individually, and he used to, so far as I know, he used to initiate everybody individually. In those days, that mass initiation was not there, but Yatishwarananda Maharaj was very particular. And he would bless the initiated disciple in a peculiar way. He had with him the Paduka of Swami Brahmanandaji, and that was wrapped in a piece of ochre cloth. So when we went to offer our Guru Pranam, he would give a nice tap. Perhaps he would give a stronger tap to some heads to awaken them. I do not know. That was the greatest blessing through his Guru. Revered Maharaj always used to initiate devotees one by one. Naturally, I was also called for an interview before initiation, and he asked me, which deity do I like more? I come from Lord Venkateshwara was my Kulaguru. Naturally, I told him, I love Lord Venkateshwara, I love Lord Krishna. And he looked at me gravely and said, no, you are a novice in the Ramakrishna order. Your chosen deity is Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Frankly, I didn't like it at that time. Though I said, whatever you decide, that is best for me. I told that. But I did not really like. It took me quite some years for me to reconcile that this Ramakrishna is none other than Sri Krishna. Even now I look regretfully at Ramakrishna's face and say, why don't you change yourself into Krishna? It would have been much better. But I know, Sarvadeva Devi Swarupa. That was the only occasion I had the blessed privilege of meeting with Swami Yatishwarananda. But what a blessed privilege. I was doing puja at that time, so mornings I had no time. Afternoons I had time. We used to, some of the initiated devotees and other old devotees, we used to meet Maharaj in his room, which is, even now it is there exactly in the same way. One day we were sitting. One of the questions that I asked him is, how to progress in spiritual life? He said, 3 things are essential to progress in spiritual life. First, a deep desire for leading a pure life. Second, a self-controlled, self-disciplined life. Third, constant self-awareness. I will come to that point very soon. He said, one cannot emphasize sufficiently in developing self-awareness. One must be constantly watching what one is doing. Most of our failures in life are due to the lack of this self-awareness. And I know too well, even monastic brothers, many of them, either they are not aware of what they are doing, or even if they are aware, they seem to be helpless in changing themselves. Most of us are not aware what thoughts pass in our mind, what words we utter, and what and why we do what we do. But when we become witnesses to our own doings, we could say we have made good progress in spiritual life. And fourthly, he is to say, without the grace of Sri Guru Maharaj, no one can progress in spiritual life. Every spiritual aspirant must know that everything happens only by his grace, through his grace. More than that, there are 2 points he constantly used to emphasize. He said that one must find out the center of one's consciousness. What is this sense? At that time, I didn't frankly understand. It is only over time I understood what is the significance. What is the center of consciousness? Each one of us have, as it were, dwelling at one point, one center of consciousness. All our thoughts, all our longings, all our hopes, all our fears, all our desires, everything should be centered around, it may be name and fame, it may be money, it may be sensual desires, or it could be even the name of God. We must find out. Our spiritual journey starts only from where we are further. If we are still in the worldly state of consciousness, we must make attempts to change it. In fact, it is no exaggeration to say that most of us are living still in worldly state of consciousness only. It is only, according to Sri Ramakrishna, when the Kundalini reaches the 4th state, Anahata Chakra, only then one can say that now I am starting my journey in spiritual life. So it took a long time for me to understand what he meant by one's center of consciousness, that around which our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations, our struggles are centered around. That's our center of consciousness. But the second thing is even more important. He says, develop constant self-awareness. A spiritual aspirant cannot afford to become unaware. Even economically, it is very beneficial. If we know what is going on in our unconscious, then we need not go to psychiatrists. There is a beautiful definition of who is a neurotic, who is a psychotic, and who is a psychiatrist. A neurotic is one who builds castles in the air, and a psychotic is one who lives in them, and a psychiatrist is one who collects rent from both of them. Many of us are neurotics, some of us are psychotic, and we do not know what is happening. Though we are not going. Today it is confirmed officially, 1 in 3 is mentally sick. What a state of progress we have achieved. So, for spiritual aspirants, it's all the more important that we must find out our center of consciousness, begin our journey from there, and the only way we can progress is by constantly being aware of our deepest thoughts, motivations, aspirations, what we are talking about, why we are talking about, with whom we are talking about, and what we are doing, etc. I can never forget that. I asked, what is the role of pranayama? He said, pranayama is very useful in spiritual life. It quietens the mind and makes meditation easier, but there is no need to go too deep into pranayama. A simple, deep, slow, rhythmic practice of breathing helps a lot in quietening the mind. I asked him how to progress in spiritual life on another occasion. He said, one can progress in spiritual life by surrendering oneself to God and by daily practice of japa, meditation and scriptural reading. He also said that it is necessary to observe one's mind, whatever one may be doing. He also told me that always connect every thought, every action that you do with the Divine Lord. Finally, I close my talk with